Oh, there we go. All right, guys. So welcome to a brand new Q&A again. It's a new Thursday. Why not? So we've recently just installed the Grand Exchange today.
We have that.
Big update. Very exciting update. And first question. Let's get into this real quick. So can we explain slightly more in depth starting already?
No, we really can't. The
difference between flipping items and price manipulation.
Well, flipping is just buying low, selling high. It's not. Manipulation is where you're hoarding items and hindering people in that they won't be able to get the items at all in order to make the price go up or down or whatever is in your favor. Things like those old clan chats where you would join, there'd be an item, it would tell you to buy it for this price. You'd buy it, and because so many people would join and do that, the price would rise a bunch, and then a load of people would sell it. A bunch of them make money, a bunch of them lose money. Flipping is just a matter of buying something, selling something.
Yeah.
If you're buying items in a group with the intention of lowering the price by limiting the supply, then that's manipulation. That's what's against the rules.
One thing we definitely wouldn't want to happen to the game is a certain group of people control, say, all of the prayer potions in the game to the point where people wanting to do some Slayer just could not buy any prayer potions. That'd be terrible. On top of that, yeah, when they dump them, they jump them to a stupid price, and it's just not good. So that's that. All right, next question. This one's from Ewan, and he asks, so are offers in the Grand Exchange made visible to all of Old School, or is it just the players in your world? So it's a valid question for somebody who maybe doesn't know what the Grand Exchange is.
The Grand Exchange works cross-world, so you could be exchanging items with somebody who's on a different world, who's not even logged in at the time. It just works all the time once you've got the offer in there.
And also different from the trading post, it also works while you're logged out. So, you know, if you put an offer in overnight, come back in the morning, you might find your offer's completed. But that's pretty much it. Well, that's not it at all, but that's enough we can say right now. All right, next question. This one's from Jordan. So there's currently a lot of fluctuation with the prices in the Grand Exchange. When do you think they'll settle down?
That's really up to you guys. It took quite a while back in 2007. Things are going to be a bit more unstable for us than they were in 2007 because, of course, they had a restriction on what you could offer. So things actually couldn't fluctuate more than a certain amount. For us, you can offer anything you please. You could put in an AGS buy offer for 1 coin and hope for it to complete, couldn't you?
Yes.
Did it complete?
No, I took it out.
Worth a try.
Yeah.
But yes, that could have completed, and that would have affected prices slightly as well. So, frankly, no one's ever tried releasing a Grand Exchange into a game like this with no restrictions on what you can offer, so we don't really know what will happen. But it's going to base itself on whatever you guys do, so the more closer you get to all doing the same thing, the closer it will get to predicting a price. Good luck.
Maybe the starting point that we've got with our Grand Exchange is a little more accurate than it was back in 2007, since we've got the reasonably accurate market values from Zybez.
Well, we try. There's a few things that were off kilter, like the Mage book. Due to a slight confusion between the Mage book, which is worth about 6.2 million, and the Book of the Arena, which is worth diddly squat, it went in with a player cost of 5 coins. It's not got that anymore, but there'll be a few oddities out there for a while.
All right, next question. This one's from Silixify, and he asks, with the original Grand Exchange, as soon as you posted a buy/sell offer, you'd be returned to the 6 boxes interface. Could this be changed back?
Yes, in fact we hotfixed that about an hour ago.
Oh, there you go.
Of the various things they're asking for, that was one of the popular requests. There's also things like a right-click abort option on the list of your offers, and a few other usability features to do with what happens when you've got banknotes and the like. Some of these we can actually do without rebooting the servers, and I thought I'd do that one. Some of them we can't do without rebooting the servers, and we'll do in a future update if time permits. And for quite a few of them, I think time will jolly well permit.
Awesome.
Because while Dan's working on the diaries, I am not, so I might be able to do some of these.
All right, next question. This one's from Jacob Zura. And he's requested that rune boots become free to play. Not just rune boots, but all of the rune boots from, or metal boots, I guess, from bronze to rune, as well as things like split bark armor, U-bows, just a few things like that.
The last time that we brought this up, the main opposition to this happening at all was from the free-to-play clanning community, which is a big part of free-to-play.
Yeah.
They are pretty keen to see things stay how they are. I think any changes that we make in terms of making members' items free to play have to be done very carefully, and we need to be sure that it's not going to throw off the balance of combat too much. We don't want to go releasing U-bows and then seeing that Rangers now absolutely dominate everyone else in the wilderness. We want to keep it fairly balanced if it is what the community wants.
We were okay with the treasure trail things, like the trimmed bronze that came out not that long ago, and the other things from treasure trails, where it's no better than items they could have already worn in that slot. Doesn't affect PvP if they might be wearing more valuable armor with no better stats. In fact, it's better. But we might cause some bad effects on PvP if we start making lots of members' items available on free to play.
Yep, definitely. When I think of rune boots, I think pay to play no matter what. I do not see those as a free to play. Same with split bark. I could maybe see the U short bow, because what do they have the best right now is maple short bows.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, maple short bows, they're not very good, are they? But all right, there's that. Next question. So can we expand the possibility of creating a rooftop agility course on the Grand Exchange?
Yes.
All right. Can we maybe go just a little bit more in depth on that one?
We could put an agility rooftop course on the Grand Exchange.
Okay. What would it consist of? Would there be like...
Well, it would, I mean, the Grand Exchange is the same one end as it is the other. I mean, what you can do at one end, you can do at any end, really. I mean, it's a giant circle, so that you could start anywhere where you like, really.
There are a couple different concepts for it. You could either build like a whole arena on top of it, or you could just have, you know, monkey bars and ropes to swing around the whole Grand Exchange. Like, there's a few different ways you could go about
So
it.
basically turn it into a jungle gym.
Yeah, but regardless, to answer the question, it is possible.
It's a nice flat bit of terrain up there with walls around the side to stop you falling off, and well, they don't at the moment, but they could do if we were going to put people up there. We could do whatever you like with it, including picnic tables.
Actually, this next question is a different suggestion from Joel Davies, and he says, instead of a rooftop agility course, I'd prefer a garden.
Oh.
So I suppose he likes farming more than agility.
Or we
idea.
could have a jungle-themed rooftop agility course,
Ooh.
like a jungle gym thing you described.
Maybe you climb the plants that you plant. You plant a yew tree, and that's what you...
I'm not liking the sound of this.
The thing is, unlike when we last did rooftop agility, we've got an artist in the team now who can make animations for us.
Yes, we do.
Something we kind of lacked in 2013.
They don't like the farming idea. That's not going to happen. All right.
Not allowed.
Next question. Another interesting idea here. This one's from Flonase, and he asks, can we have the ability to use our god sword as a knife? An example being cutting pineapples, bananas, or even fletching logs.
I think you already can use a god sword on a banana, can't you? And slice it?
I have never tried.
I was thinking the same
I
thing.
thought it was an RS3 thing, maybe?
No, I've definitely done it in Old School.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't remember I think I saw something on Reddit, and I thought, I've got to check if that's real or not. And then I checked, and it was.
I just think like fletching with a god sword would be awesome.
It's a two-handed sword. How do you hold the logs?
No, I tried it
Very
with a
carefully.
banana. I tried it with a banana and a banana. I don't know if it works with fletching or anything else.
Probably have to go fruit ninja style, just throw it up in the air, slice it up.
Given that banana slicing was written by a developer who was a little eccentric and not with us very long, he was here for an internship. It's possible that he influenced a whole bunch of random things involving knives and bananas that nobody ever thought to look at.
All right. Okay, so interesting idea. Not too likely that one. Sorry there. Okay. So can new free-to-play members, or sorry, I guess they're not members, are they? Can new free-to-play players use the Grand Exchange despite the 24-hour trade limit?
Not during it.
So they can't buy anything, they can't sell anything, they can't. They
Well,
can look at it.
Given that they can't offer items in trade during that restriction, the Grand Exchange wouldn't be a whole lot of use to them.
Right.
And since you can't see other people's offers on the Grand Exchange, all they could really do is look at their slots and see that they're all empty and not be allowed to put anything in them. So no, they can't look at the Grand Exchange at the moment. They can use item sets if they like. That said, depending on how the bot hunters are getting on, keeping on top of the bots, I'm hoping we can put that duration down, maybe to 16, 12, even lower. So rather than allowing them to do more things during it, I'd rather us reduce it.
Yeah, I'd say the chat heavily agrees with you. That would be all right. Next question. This one's from Harrison, and he asks, can you change it so that when clicking on an item to sell, it offers all of the item instead of just having to manually select one?
It's worth noting that the item you're clicking on has options for offer 1, 5, 10, all. Now I can make left click do all, but that'd be a very funny offer one option.
That's true. Right-clicking one, that would...
Now what I could do is take all the options off except offer, so that the only thing you can do is click offer, and it doesn't have 5, 10, all or anything like that, just has offer, and make that B1 if it's an unnoted item, and be all if it's a stackable item. Could certainly do that.
Okay.
As it was, we figured that rather than you having to click the item and then go across the screen to click the all button there, you could just right click on the item and choose all straight away. But if all is a right click option, then left click is 1, which is what they're currently complaining about. Could just be they don't know that there's an offer all option, and if you right click on it, well, it could be they'll be very happy to click once and then go across the screen to click the all button over there.
Okay, seeing a lot of support in the chat right now. All right, so there's that. Let's go to the next question. This one's from I Eat Gnomes, and he says, would removing randoms from the Grand Exchange be a possibility?
Oh, totally. We just figured that since they're ignorable and dismissible, it wasn't like in the old days when you'd have a random that you couldn't see and it might penalise you. So, of course, if it's so crowded there because they've all decided to go to the same world, then yeah, we can take away the randoms from it.
I think I saw a little bit of random spam at GE earlier, so I can see why it would get quite frustrating.
We've acknowledged the chat, and now comes the Dragon Claw spam. All right. Well, I think the random...
see what we get from listening to customers.
Was a heavily suggested suggestion, so...
So, of course, we must do it.
Yeah. All right. Next question. This one's from Danny. So on the main interface, could we have the ability to right-click, abort, and offer?
Yep.
Yep. All right. Next question. This one's from No Hetero, and he says, can the price... No Hetero, maybe?
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think it's Hetero. All right. Can the price checker for Iron Men instead show high alch prices, as they obviously can't sell anything?
I'm wondering whether we could just give it a toggle for showing whichever.
Yeah,
show the alch prices and the actual prices.
That would be nice.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
That's
completely
possible.
controlled on the server, so it's relatively straightforward to do.
Okay.
Items you can't alch will be fun, but you'd find out what the alch price would have been, and of course that'll tell you how it behaves on death, perhaps.
Any Iron Men in the chat? I think...
I was talking about claws, apparently.
We might struggle to see them.
Well, the claws in summoning and Karasi for some reason are making a return.
Dungeoneering.
Where is this coming from?
I don't really know, because if Karasi went to a poll, it would fail miserably.
I would almost.
That'd be one way of making the topic shut up forever.
All right.
It would look very odd if it passed.
Okay, next question. This one's from Captain Ali. He asks, can we get farming packs with items like baskets, sacks, plant pots, etc.?
Yeah, I've wanted to do packs of baskets and sacks for a while.
All right. Next question.
Sorry, yes, not a good enough answer.
That's perfect. That's fine. All right. This one's
Just remember, of all the things we say, yes, we could do that,
Yeah.
many of them would go to a poll, and many of them have to queue for a while to get in a poll because, you know, we're not going to shove everything else we could be doing, like Zia or Diaries, out the way to deliver all these little requests for the next 2 months.
Yeah. So what Ash is saying is we need some more challenging requests, because everything I'm asking, yep, we can do it.
Yep, we
So
can do it.
Start thinking of some stuff maybe Ash
The question
can't
is
do.
whether we will do it.
Okay, then EOC.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I so could, you know.
No, don't tempt him. Okay.
Well, I worked on the original one, so.
All right. This one's from Injury Patcher, and he asks, can the Carol's Coif get a buff? It is quite a pathetic item. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, I think it really is. I'd like to buff then like the Arim staff along with it, because that's also quite a useless item.
That's true.
I think it's I think people have talked about adding a nice little update to Barrows. You wanted to include the Barrows sister, so they won't be called brothers anymore. It'll be like the Barrows family instead. John wanted to add some sort of creepy uncle to it, but
yes, we don't really have to indulge him with that
no,
one.
we don't. Really. But either way, I think it's probably worth us revisiting some of the old Barrows armors, because, like you say, some of them are quite useless. The Arim's staff is terrible. The Coif is, I just never even see it.
Maybe the Verax Flail?
Verax Flail has its uses. I mean,
It's
take
okay.
it's a good weapon.
Full Verax requires
full
the flail,
Verax
and full
is great.
Verax is pretty unbelievable.
I don't see anybody ever doing anything in full Carils or ever full Arims.
Yeah, we had a go at
No.
making the Amulet of the Damned so that people would have a bigger incentive to use the full set, which of course would include the flail, the coif, etc. We could buff that some more, or we could just do great things to the coif by itself. whichever you prefer.
What is the current coif range bonus? Is it the same as a
Don't know, 'cause I
an
never wear
archer
it.
helmet? I think.
Honestly, I have no
It's
idea.
the same or less. I'm not.
Same or less. I would say it's even less. And the archer helmet is like 40k. Coif is like 5k. All right. So definitely a possibility.
Yes.
Good question. Next one's from Captain Elite. So can free-to-play get crossbows up to mithril maybe? He's suggesting without special bolts. Obviously without like dragon bolts. Couldn't even use those. Or maybe even a blue-right crossbow. Completing the knight's sword.
I think we're back to the question of whether it's good for free-to-play
Yeah,
to make all these things free-to-play, or whether members just want to be able to sell the things for profit.
It's all well and good giving free-to-play some things to use, but obviously free-to-play is supposed to be a stepping stone into the wider game. Obviously, if we update free-to-play with loads of member stuff, then no one's ever going to convert from free-to-play to members. They might as well just pay free-to-play. At that point, we won't be sitting here giving you new updates because everyone will be free-to-play. So there has to be a cut-off point somewhere in free-to-play where obviously things start to become quite limited and you then start to need to convert to members to get things. But I think with what they've got so far, it's probably fair enough for them, really.
Also, these things are generally made by like fletching and members' skills.
Yep.
So I think we're still in the realm of members wanting to be able to sell their stuff to free-to-play for profit, without necessarily worrying so much about whether free-to-play will benefit from it overall.
Thing is, free-to-play already have more than they used to back in 2007 because they have trimmed bronze and all that.
Yeah.
So they've already got more features.
I'm cool for keeping free-to-play in the loop with updates and giving them some access to some things, but I think giving free-to-play everything that members have is a pretty stupid idea.
Yeah, one of the biggest controversial topics in that matter would be adding bounty hunter worlds to free-to-play, which is somewhat suggested, but at the same time, I always see people saying, no, don't give them that.
Well, people wanted free-to-play because they wanted the game to grow. If we give free-to-play members updates, the game isn't really going to grow because everyone would just be free-to-play.
Yeah.
So if you want the game to grow and you wanted free-to-play, then keep members incentives members.
Of course. All right, so there's that. Next question. This one's from 1872 Mark, and he asks, will the Varrock armor work for 10% chance of 2 ores at the Motherlode mine? Then he also asks, if so, will it stack with the Prospector armor?
No, it doesn't currently stack with the Prospector armor, and it doesn't work at Motherlode mine at the moment. It only matters when you're mining ores from rocks directly.
Okay, there's that. This one's from Shane, 4894, and he asks, can we see more monsters in free-to-play with rune item drops? Again, I think we're looking at the same story here.
Yes and no. I would like to get the rune scimitar available in there.
Okay.
That was the one. That was going to be my exception.
Perhaps the axe as well, or just the scimitar?
The axe, why not?
Okay.
Of course, we don't have to necessarily make a whole lot of new monsters in a new dungeon for it. We could do this via, say, the Ankus or some other existing monster.
Oh.
Or even stick it up the wilderness.
I was going to say those 159 shades that are useless in the security stronghold.
That's where I think we were both thinking when we were discussing it ourselves. Cool. As I said, the Ankus, we got Catablepons or whatever the hell they're called. Yeah, down there as well, which are practically useless in every regard to free-to-play. You might as well give them some sort of drop.
Is there not a dungeon in the wilderness which has fire giants in it?
There is. It's kind of a lava underground thingy.
Is it possible to access that in free-to-play?
Nope.
Not that I'm aware of.
I know
I'm
they
pretty sure
have
if it was,
moss
they might
giants.
have already had their rune semis.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
All right, next question. This one's from Terran2. A little off topic. Can we get a dragon-related boss? He's insinuating we haven't had enough dragon-related content.
See Zaya raids. Or raids in Zaya. There is primary raid there is dragon-related. Otherwise, if you wanted a more dragon boss, immediate dragon boss...
Adamant dragon time?
Or Zora spits fire and
It's
stuff
almost
like that. It's almost dragon
kind of reptile. I mean,
serpentine sort of thing.
There's fireballs coming out of that thing.
Yeah, I mean, yes, there are plans to create a dragon boss, not anywhere in the immediate future, but there are plans to do so.
Okay.
But as I said, we can do adamant dragons.
All right.
I'd like that.
And rune dragons and red dragons.
All right, let's go to this one. Back to the Grand Exchange. This one's from Enter the Fray, and he asks, can we have the ability to edit an offer after entering in the Grand Exchange?
That'd be nice.
Tricky thing there is that the Grand Exchange server out there, it has to get these signals from the game world. So if you send one saying you want to change the details of the offer, like the price or the item or something, and it's in the middle of completing a bit more of it because somebody's actually shopping from you, then it's not going to be able to process that request and it might get a bit confused. So it's possible that Ian could work on the thing until it was able to take these requests, but for the moment it doesn't support that, and I don't think that's something Ian's going to be able to spend the time on just at the moment, because we just told him to write bonds.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is why he's not joining us today.
Yeah, sorry Ian if you're watching.
Ian's very, very busy with the Grand Exchange. Understandable. Next question. This question's from the Runer, and he asks, now that we have the Grand Exchange / the price checker, will you be adding Coinshare? So we've obviously addressed this before, but why not go over it again?
Okay. So, loot share, coin share, things we've wanted to do for a while. Now we've got a Grand Exchange with some notion of actual values. We can do loot share better than we could have done before. And we can also try and inject items into the Grand Exchange from a coin share system if people want it. Now, while it's great to be able to share the loot around a group, the difficulty coin share used to have is that it brought a lot of money into the game in the form of cash and left a load of items sitting on the Grand Exchange that never went anywhere, which isn't very good for prices or the economy at all. So if we were going to offer coin share, which we should do in some form, we might actually have to make some changes to it before we even pass a poll, because you know the Grand Exchange was pretty scrapey passing. It got over 75, but Coinshare was less popular than the Grand Exchange. There's not a lot of leeway there. So we may have to find some form of Coinshare that people are willing to accept in a high enough majority.
Right.
Which we will very happily do, because we would like people to be able to share out the loot. So we might want to start with just loot share as the stepping stone to it, because loot share is less controversial. The items just come in rather than turning into money in any awkward way. Biggest job though, we're going to have to trawl all the drop scripts across the game to do it, which isn't a problem. We'll do that, take a while though, and at the moment we're kind of juggling Grand Exchange feedback requests, achievement diaries need finishing. We kind of promised to use Zaya, and I want to write resizable mode, been put off long enough. So I'm not really keen to get all enthusiastic about another very big project just at the moment. I'd like to get back to some of these other things before we start offering more and postpone them yet further.
Right. There's that. All right.
Of course you might feel differently.
Now bringing it back to the price checker. This one's from XX Cross, and he asks, so can we have some sort of wealth exchange display on the trading screens now that we have the price checker?
Don't see why not.
It's a
There's a bit of
possibility.
space there now we don't have the trading post features in it.
It's a possibility. It's not too difficult to add that.
Depends if they want it to look nice. I mean, just sticking a random bit of text in the corner, not that hard. Doing anything with a kind of graphical balance display, which would be a lot more polished and fitting for our lovely game that we honour, take a bit longer.
Okay.
I think people might actually just be happy with the number in the corner, to be honest. Just showing, here's what mine's worth, here's what theirs is worth, which one's higher.
Yeah.
Part of me is really wishing I'd seen what they just saw. Because apparently the stream froze right at a very unfortunate moment when you were doing some sort of really expressive speech, and we all missed it.
Oh, I should do these kind of things more.
But they loved it.
That's all right.
Although I'm seeing Simon and James giggling.
You didn't just do it on purpose, did you? You could have done it on purpose, that would be awesome.
No, it never happened before. It just froze. I don't know.
Fair enough.
All right. Next question. You know what? Let's get into this random fun question that we do now. Just one question a stream. So this one asks, if you had to transform into an animal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Human.
I beg the question, what are you now?
Me.
It's not human. I'll let you go first.
I don't know. Dog. Keep it simple.
Oh, that's
the
the limit of Ronan's imagination. That is.
I'm on the spot.
The imagination of Ronan.
Honey badger.
Oh yes. Yeah. You would win at life.
I would.
What beats a honey badger?
There's plenty of reasons why I would be a honey badger.
Does anything beat a honey badger? An elephant, maybe?
I would like to be a kangaroo.
I could see that. I could see that.
So dog. I mean, that is it. That's what
We
you.
have
That's what,
dog Ronan.
that's what you get from Ronan. Kangaroo, human, honey badger. What would you be? I'm expecting something terrible as well.
Depends what I like eating. I was going to say shark, but I don't like eating a lot of fish, so that doesn't sound very nice. Honey badgers, they eat rattlesnakes and stuff. That doesn't sound very good.
See whatever they want.
I'm thinking this through. What
they eat
eats
honey.
something that I like to eat? What eats chicken?
You,
Boxes.
Fox?
Guess.
Fox? I'm a fox.
Cool.
All right,
He's
I'm
a fox.
Okay, cool.
But
I'm thinking this through. All right.
what eats chicken?
I don't know.
that was the parameter for what you were considering the animal you would be.
Yeah.
That's.
All right, next question. This one's from Josh Wright, getting back on the Grand Exchange topic. And he asks, as with a few others, can we ever see more than 6 Grand Exchange slots?
I gather from Ian that the code is quite nicely expandable for that kind of thing, and I wrote all the menu code to be expandable as well, give or take the fact that we have to make the interfaces bigger and stuff, which isn't hard. So it's a matter of going into the engine and just letting it save more data, change the magic 6 to an 8 or whatever. Of course, since our Grand Exchange is apparently tied to the RS3 one in terms of the code, like we're using the same code, it's just saying look at the old school items rather than new school items. If we got it, I think they'd have to have it. I reckon they could live with that.
Well, I think if there's
But
enough,
it's not something we can just promise as an old school team.
I think if there's enough traction in both, coming from both directions, we can certainly make it happen.
Haven't
Stuff
seen a single
expands over
yes
time,
yet.
and theirs hasn't expanded in 8 years.
I think it's likely to have some updates soon anyway, so probably.
yeah.
Only because, well, coming from the feedback from our Grand Exchange, I think they might want to, make amendments to theirs to match ours, and then at that point we might then say, should we have more than 6 slots?
Yeah, apparently we've got a few buttons that they didn't have that we thought they did, which is why I put them there. Slight miscommunication there, but we're winning from it for the moment.
All right. So just to throw it in there, I saw a couple people asking where Matt was. He's in a meeting right now, unfortunately. Very busy meeting. He could not make it. Probably collecting data. I don't know.
When you
Doing
say you
Matt
saw
stuff.
a few people asking, do you mean that you saw the data spam?
That too.
Yeah, what's they
Maybe.
going to put down for the colour of his trousers?
I know Rona made up for it last week with the burgundy trousers.
Maybe this is a green screen and he's just wearing a morph suit.
Maybe he's been here the whole
Are you
time.
suggesting that Matt is rather large? Because,
Well, he's taller than most of us.
well, he's certainly taller
Yeah.
than me, that's for sure.
Okay. But anyways, I'll be back here next week, so no worries, guys. On top of that, we will be taking chat questions today. So by all means, if you have any for the Grand Exchange, maybe achievement diaries coming out next week, anything like that, feel free to type them in the chat, and we'll get them answered at the end of the stream. Okay. Next question. This one's from Paris. So can the left-click option for the bankers be bank instead of talk to?
At the moment, it's working like all the other banks across Old School, where the bankers have a talk to option, but if you just want to bank with a left click, you can click on the booth. So our Grand Exchange, you can click on the booth, and with a left click, you're banking and exchanging. Of course, we could take the talk to options off the bankers in the Grand Exchange. It would make sense to do it for all the other bankers as well.
Yep.
So at which point we're talking about a rather larger job, but it's not a very hard one.
Okay. That answers that. Next question. This one's from Stefan. And he has a question specifically for Ronan.
Okay.
And he says, congrats on such a successful Grand Exchange launch, guys. And his question is, can we get a new estimated timeline for the bigger updates, like Zaya and all that? Do we have any estimated, slightly more refined dates?
When do we expect to see some Zaya?
Okay, Matt, I had a very, very brief conversation with Matt this morning. It went on for maybe 2 or 3 minutes where we just touched on the sort of very, very early release dates potentially that we might see for Zaya. I made it clear that obviously this is a very, 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 very large update, and obviously RuneScape back when it was brand new and it was Classic, going on RS2 took them quite a long time to create the size map that I'm looking to create for Zaya. Back then they had even fewer tools and fewer staff than we even have now, and obviously we're looking to do something very similar but on a much larger scale with a much larger impact with a lot more innovative design and things like that. So obviously we're looking for it to take just as long, if not longer, than what it took, Paul, Andrew, and all that stuff like that, or everybody else like that way back in the day. So I'm not going to make any promises or even give the slightest release date. I mean, we'll see some stuff this year for sure. I doubt you'll see the whole of it this year. It might even still leak into next year at the same time. But obviously you want a huge landmass. You want it to be good. I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to put any half-assed content into it. It's all going to be exactly what you expect. That's as much as I can give you for Zaya, really. It's a very big update, so...
The biggest
It's
update
the- yeah.
Old School will likely ever see.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
maybe can't say
for
that,
Resizable, obviously, I think Ash is much more suited to give you an idea of that.
So Resizable is the thing I'd like to be my next big project, depending, of course, on whether we end up putting it aside some longer to do loot share and coin share and things like that first, which I think will be up to you guys. Resizable, the difficulty there is we are going to have to go through every interface in the game to see how they handle the resizable screen. A lot of them should be fine, like the ones like your bank that sit in the middle of the screen, and the Grand Exchange interfaces should be fine sitting in the middle of the screen as well. The ones like overlays for smokes, sandstorms, darkness, castle wars, the things that are meant to fill your screen rather than just sitting in the middle, they're going to need some reworking. And reworking interfaces is not a quick job. That's, in fact, most of the time doing the Grand Exchange was making interfaces. So there's a lot of interfaces we've built up over the years. We've got, well, all the classic content, 3 years of RS2 content up to 2007, and we've done quite a bit as well over the time since Old School came out. So all those interfaces are going to need reworking, potentially, or at least checking and testing. Apart from that, we're going to need to program the game frame itself. At the moment, there's just one game frame. Now, JackMob kindly did a lot of engine work for us to let the game handle being bigger and to let us have an alternate game frame that fills the whole screen. So we're going to have to program alternate game frames and something to switch you between them. That's something I've been looking forward to, because it would let us do not just the resizable game frame and as opposed to our current one with a toggle between them, but it would let us do alternate ones in future. For the people who said they wanted a slightly older looking 2006 style game frame, we will finally have a chance to do that for you, something I've wanted for so long. Also, we've got an artist these days, which was holding us back before as well, because we'd have had a bit of trouble with the making it look 2006-ish, but having all the buttons available. Also, we've had a few people say they want a 2010, 2012 kind of game frame. I am less interested in that kind of request.
Custom-scape.
Well, there's nothing really stopping us from skinning doing skinned options once we get to that kind of level of engine support. We could do Christmas themed ones.
That would be nice.
So yeah, we're going to have to program it to handle multiple top level interfaces, or game frames as you guys call them. That's not a small thing, because getting the side stones to stack up at the bottom if the screen's a bit small, or flatten themselves along the bottom if it's bigger, all needs programming. I'm looking forward to that kind of thing, but it's a biggish job. I don't honestly know how long it's going to take to go through the interfaces, because I don't know how many of them are going to need rewriting to support being resized, which is a shame, because I'd like to give you an ETA. Unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't. Sorry.
No news, ETA for Diaries is next week.
I see resizable being a few weeks once we start on it.
Oh, you've said it.
Yep.
You've done it.
This is where I say a few weeks and you say that means 2, and then all the players get upset a couple of weeks later when it turns out not to be the case.
That wasn't the case with the Grand Exchange. Stuck
You
very,
said 2.
very true to your... I said 2 days.
Okay, yeah, I could have sworn Chris said a couple of weeks, a couple of days.
Yeah, I said 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Diaries is next week, so that's one big update that you can look forward to very soon.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that.
I don't think there's anything else on the schedule which is of colossal magnitude.
We are going to have to do something for Easter, though.
Yes. Yes,
I
which
pitched
is-
to Matt this idea for you having to sort of save the Easter Bunny, who's being menaced by chocolate creatures come to life by hatching out of the chocolate eggs. How they got in there is another matter entirely, but I wanted you to get out Dan's shoulder-mounted device or something like it and start headshotting them and having chocolate bunny dust all over the floor.
With points for a 360 no scope.
Has to be
Each
Double tap
Easter
wipe
event
no
story I
scope.
learned, it's just more and more violent each time. I love it.
Well, we've gone from creepy from like the 2006 Christmas event to just downright insane.
I
So
think maybe like a flamethrower, you could melt them into like a chocolate puddle would be cool.
Yep, that'd be cool.
Yeah? All right.
But I'd like there to be something explodey as well, so you can either
yeah,
melt
definitely.
them or have a big ballistic thing that just shatters them into shards.
Yeah,
I'd like an option.
it'd be a bit tricky to 360 with a flamethrower.
Yeah.
I think it'd be very
Wouldn't
easy
go
to
down
spin
very
round and
well.
round on the spot with a flamethrower.
All right. Next question. This one's from Tom. And he asks, could we have the music that used to play when an offer was completed in the Grand Exchange upon login? I wasn't familiar with this. Is he's suggesting that.
Sorry, say it again.
Could we have the music that used to play when an offer was completed in the Grand Exchange upon login?
Thought we did. If we didn't, then we can.
Okay. Is it just kind of you log in and it says your offer has been completed? Dun, dun, dun.
Well, you get that at the moment if an offer has updated since you logged out.
Okay.
However, if the offer updated before you logged in, if the offer updated before you logged out and you just haven't picked up the stuff from the box yet, it's currently not giving you a reminder or a notification or a jingle. I thought about that and then decided not to put it in for launch because people world hop a lot more than they did in 2007 when there was a 30-second delay on it, which means that if you got that little jingle every time you hop telling you you could pick up some stuff from the Grand Exchange, you might do your nut.
That's true.
But I could put it in for consistency with how it was before if people actually want that.
Okay. There you go. Next question, this one's from Sez, and he asks, could you add an NPC like the financial advisor on the tutorial island to the Grand Exchange that would tell you if an item is dropping or raising in price? Do you see this question?
Yeah.
Is it that funny?
I don't know what you're going to do.
I know, it's a silly question.
Sorry, I had other things going through my mind.
Okay. The answer is the game worlds currently know the value of the item at the moment, but they do not necessarily remember what it was, say, 2 days ago to tell you what the trend's been. And that would be a fair bit of extra data for them to keep around and have available to us. So I don't think we're going to be able to get that. What we do, however, want is the ability for you to go to a place on our website and just look at a graph of the offer of the price history, like other game got. The web team, I'm confident, is going to do this for us, but for the moment, since we just had them do a whole lot of stuff for our free-to-play update, we haven't got this yet.
If you tweet Jagex Shadow, who thanked me for giving him a shout out on last week's live stream, but if you tweet him and say, go ahead and make us that GE page, like he said to me earlier, he would do it, and then he said, no, he didn't say that, but if you go ahead and tweet him, he'll probably go and do it.
Yeah, that's how you ask for favours.
If I direct some traffic his way, he might be thankful for it, and then as a
he's going to be thankful.
Oh, he will be. He'll be fine.
So that's at Jagex Shadow.
Yeah, if you tweet him saying make us a Grand Exchange page, you'll probably get on and do it.
Yeah.
He'll be grateful for the traffic.
Say it nicely.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Say it nicely.
We like him. You can't tell we like him given what we just did, but we do like him.
That's just my way of getting favours. So I spam them until eventually they just give in.
I hope you never want anything from me.
All right, guys. So we have give or take 10 more questions or so before we get into the chat questions. So keep them coming if you have any to be answered. But let's ask this one from Peckish Toucan, a Bodhi fan, and he asks, "Can we get a death price check on the what you lose on death button?"
You mean make output prices on that screen as well?
Yeah.
Can do, although to be a little bit surprising that it's not, of course, using it to choose what you lose on death. I think it would make sense, given that we are inevitably going to poll that change, to offer it kind of separately, but at the same time, perhaps, because a lot of people would like us to change death to, work off items' market prices rather than their output prices.
Right.
And I would like to poll that. I expect it'll pass, although it may not. A lot of people say they don't want it. But I think it'll probably pass, and that would be also a suitable time to look at putting more market prices on the Deathkeep interface.
Okay. Well, hopefully if you're PKing, you would know roughly what you're about to lose if you died. But I'm sure that number would be reassuring, just nice to see. All right, next question. This one's from Moo. And he asks, do we have the ability to see statistics, like how many of each item have been sold in the Grand Exchange so far?
Well, you don't have access to see that information. As in, players don't have access to the information.
Pretty sure the system's tracking it.
Yeah, it probably would do. It would just need a way of
a front end to put it out
transmitting
somewhere.
it to a front end, yeah. Which again, if you tweet Jagex Shadow, I'm sure he'd be happy to do it for us.
Well, you can see it going well on those pages where you look at Nature Rune and it tells you the price trends, and how many have been sold. Maybe if you can get that.
Potentially. I mean, obviously the data's there. It just needs a way of displaying it in a very nice way that you can read and understand.
Okay. There you go. Next question. This one's from Blue Drag. And he says, you're going to like this one. So we saw some more support for the Dragon Claws in the Game Blast stream. Has Mod Reach changed his opinion on adding them?
But are you asking if he's changed his opinion because AOE Tube said once, let's get declaws?
To be fair, actually, I meant to go speak to Tom, Jay, and Adam, when they were here, and not one of them mentioned it to me. Apparently, they must have.
That was your one chance, guys.
Had a few.
That was it.
Before they.
I think they know how unlikely it is.
Oh, I see a Matt K as well. I haven't changed my mind, but I think obviously with the sort of traction we've been making with releasing updates that we've said were probably never going to happen, I think it's looking more and more likely that certain updates might actually happen in future.
Yep.
That's not a promise that obviously we will then do an update because we haven't said, well, because we said we weren't going to do it earlier on.
That would be an awesome promise.
But I've got a Matt K twerking in front. No, that's not even twerking, is it? That's Matt taking his
Belly
clothes
dancing.
off. Yeah. Ooh.
Okay.
If you guys could see what we can see, it'd be awesome.
So back to the Dragon Claws.
Yeah.
There is a video on the YouTube channel where you went very in depth talking about why or why not we can have the Dragon Claws. And just a quick summary. Can we put that into a sentence or two?
Long story short, Dragon Claws now, no, it's not the right time for them. Dragon Claws in the future, potentially. We haven't said no, never, although I might have said that, but what we mean is no, or we don't mean that. In the future, potentially, but we're looking further down the line. We're not looking at doing it anytime soon.
All right, there you go. So that solves the Dragon Claws in the chat now.
Burgundy, by the way.
But it is burgundy on the sticks.
Yeah, we're only ever going to wear burgundy for these now, until they fall apart and then get a new pair. Cost me £1 for these.
£1?
Whole pound, £1.
These were tailored to me for 145. I could have had 145 pairs of your burgundy jeans.
Wouldn't you love that?
Shut up, we could all wear burgundy jeans.
Okay. Next Q&A main topic is pants. Wait, you call them trousers?
We
pants
do.
means underwear for some reason here.
Yes, yeah.
What do
We
you mean
talk about
for
pants as well.
some reason?
Okay, let's not get into
You're
this.
backwards.
Next question, this one's from Tim. And he asks, will we ever see a Grand Exchange feature on the website? I'm pretty sure we just answered that.
Probably.
Yes.
Again, tweet at
Tweet Jagex
Shadow. Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, what are you guys doing to him?
Again, asking about the Easter event. We already talked about that.
Oh, sorry.
This one's from Blue Drag, and he asks, can we see normal attack potions be made available for free-to-play players?
I think we talked about that a lot.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Well, in terms of items being made available to them.
Oh, okay.
It's not like they've got the herb lore skills to make their own, so it's another one where members would like to be able to sell it.
I learned something interesting the other day. Sure, there's not a single player in game with level 2 herb lore.
Good. There shouldn't
How
be.
did you find...
Someone showed me the highest scores, and I was just like, you're right, because when you do the quest, you go straight to 4, right?
Oh, I guess
You
that's
can't
true.
get to 2. Nobody has
XP
2.
lamps.
I don't think there's a way to avoid it. Maybe with like an XP lamp,
I'm
or...
pretty sure the XP lamps are meant to be programmed to say you can't use them on herb lore till you've done Druidic Ritual.
Yeah.
That makes
There you go
sense.
then.
It might have been photoshopped, but I believed it, so...
And there's probably places where it doesn't check correctly, and then you can, and then you get past the quest check altogether and can level where you like. But most places are meant to check.
Yeah, maybe we can put an error in to let us know if there's somebody who logs in with level 2 herb lore, I guess, but...
Yeah.
Or maybe it was 3, not 2.
Or they
Yeah.
could even buff them up to level 3 if they have.
All right, next question. This one's from the Third Knight, and he says, is it possible to extend the Grand Exchange history list to, say, 100 transactions? So Mod Ash has just doubled it from 5 to 10, and now we're requesting 100.
Well, that shows what you get for doubling it. It's a good job I didn't make it even bigger. So what they asked for next? Might be a little tricky because of the amount of processing involved in shuffling the history down. The thing is, where you've got data saved in the engine, it's very efficient for it. Where we've got stuff saved in content side, we have to do all the processing manually and shuffling, 100 items down a list. Not just the item, but the quantity and other parameters as well. That becomes a fair bit more processing to be done, which is a lot less efficient than when the engine just does things for itself. So I think either we get the engine updated to take the history into itself and not use our code anymore, or we accept there's going to be a bit of a limit on what we can give them.
Okay. I said 10 is perfectly reasonable. But, you give them 100, they're going to ask for 1,000, and we'll be here for a while.
It will at least show them what it was they just did.
Yeah.
Speaking of what they just did, at the moment I don't think it's recording on the history if they have an offer half complete and then they abort it and cancel the rest. I'm not sure it's recording that they've done anything at all. I think it should, so I'll have a look at that.
Okay. Just had a mic replacement for Matt. Looks like he's still muted, unfortunately, as he's yelling.
Can't hear him.
Given what he's doing with his mouth, it's probably for the best.
All right. Next question. This one's from Rank Juan with a J, and he asks, can we increase the limit of runes we can buy at once? Complaining 10,000 fire runes is not enough to charge his trident.
Yes, we are going to be looking at and adjusting the buy limits of certain items over the coming weeks. We did intentionally limit some of the items to a lower number than you're maybe used to, just for the initial launch. So obviously people then don't go hoarding all the items so early on that there's none left in the game for everybody else, and to prevent the items from being manipulated too badly. So obviously we set up a lower threshold that we would then increase over time. I think 10,000 is pretty reasonable. Obviously you're not going to get through 10,000 runes in 4 hours that quickly. I think we obviously sat down and discussed what it is you could possibly be doing that would drain you that many runes in a 4-hour period, and I think we came to the conclusion that if you out without a fire staff and just use fire runes, then maybe you will get through 4 to 10,000 worth of fire runes in 4 hours. But even so, yes, we are going to be adjusting the limits. Obviously, there are some items in game that have a much more generous limit than you're used to, such as battle staves, and they'll have a 2,000 as opposed to the 100 you were used to. That's currently present in RS3. Obviously, there's going to be some limits which were lower than what they were beforehand. We are going to be adjusting those and making changes depending on what's a fair amount to then increase it to or decrease it to in some circumstances, whether or not you feel it necessary.
Frankly, I don't think there are any items in the game where we're not going to make the limit go up, with the possible exception of God Swords and ultra uncommon combat kit like that.
Definitely.
We wrote all of these things so that we could hoik them up globally once the system stabilised a bit. But you understand that if we'd put out the GE and the first thing anybody did was think, I know what, I'll go buy all the Ranar just because I've heard of that being done before, that would be kind of inconvenient. So we started with conservative limits so that we could put them up over time.
But we are aware that there are some items out there that people are trying to get hold of right now that, obviously like runes for example, and pots having an 800 limit, that are lower than what you're used to. So we are just playing it safe for the time being at launch, and then we will adjust later on when things become a lot more calm and established.
Yeah, fletching ingredients, for example, you get a few thousand of those, but given that you can churn through, what, 150,000, some people can if they clip really well in 4 hours. Obviously that's not going to do very much for them. But on the other hand, if we'd said you could buy 200,000 straight away, and you did, then everyone else who wants some probably won't get any, which isn't ideal.
All right. Next question then. This one's again from Blue Drag. Thanks a lot for your contributions to the Q&A today. So he asks, now that we have the Grand Exchange, are there any plans to add content to Narda to make it more useful?
Yes.
Yes, I've just... well, I don't know whether or not it's going to, ram Narda full of players, but the herbalist in Narda, as of next week at least, with the introduction of the diaries, if you complete the desert diary at the very least, the Narda herbalist will make unfinished potions for you. So if you take in noted form, I will just stress noted now because I'll end up getting a million tweets saying, does it do noted? In noted form, if you take noted herbs and vials to the herbalist in Narda and coins, for 200 coins each, the Narda herbalist will make you your unfinished potions.
Is it going to work with banknotes?
I don't know. Probably not. Yes, it will. Please stop tweeting me asking me that. Yes.
I just saw a comment saying the door opening looked like a fart from Matt.
He should do an emote for that.
Yeah, we have a vault door for this live stream room, and it is quite literally a vault door with a giant, huge submarine handle, and obviously it squeaks when it goes open.
I'm scared whoever walked in there. I don't know who it was.
Or Jason.
In case you're wondering why we've got such a weird door, it's so that it's soundproof, which it isn't.
No, it isn't soundproof.
In fact, it's a very noisy door.
Yeah, that, and I've blown an air horn on this side of the room, and still people on the outside have still heard it.
So it's not. You do that?
So they said it was soundproof. So I thought, well, air horn. Surely you won't hear that. No,
you just pull this out of my pocket because I always got
an air horn.
It's just one of the things that we need to have in the office.
All right. We still have questions. So this one's from again Blue Drag. Thank you. And he asks, could you please pull making Rogue's Den a safe zone in PvP worlds, as it's not used for PKing. It's in fact a lurer's paradise.
I'm up for that.
I agree.
I have no objection personally to doing it.
Great, I think we are agreed. Do we poll it, or do we just take it as a fix?
I've genuinely never seen anyone PK there, aside from luring. which if you can't, that is PKing.
Because if we just declare it to be a bank, which it arguably is, although it's a very, very big one with just one little man standing in the corner being a bank, we could justify putting that one through.
Well, if it's used for the purposes of luring, I don't think we need to poll. Should we remove this lure
use
spot?
something to cheat. And
Of course, if we pull it and then we find out who all the lurers are who vote no to it, we can put their names up.
That might be a good way of catching them out. I think I'm down for that.
All right. Next question. This one's from Totally Kyle. And he says, after seeing the Lava Whip update on RS3, have you considered changing the special attack from the Abyssal Whip on Old School to make it more useful?
No, I hadn't considered such. I had seen the Lava Whip special attack on RS3, and I was quite impressed with the sort of things that
awesome.
ModPie was trying to do with it.
Yep.
I hadn't, considering our whips were cosmetic and cosmetic only, I hadn't really considered giving them any additional functions beyond what the normal whip was supposed to do, because obviously that would change what the value of the items in the bounty hunter store would be. So I hadn't really considered doing anything new to the whip. If we create a new whip or create an add-on to the whip in future again, then perhaps we can do something, but not with
I think the community giving you a bit of advice there, really.
Yeah.
No.
No, well, if it's no, then it's no. I mean, if that's what you want.
I think it'd be kind of cool if it had somewhat of a bind feature, because you wrap it around your opponent's legs, maybe they can't
Its
move.
current
for a
special
second
attack
or
is
two,
frankly terrible.
It is. It doesn't doesn't
Stop
even do
people
anything.
using it though.
No, people still use it, in the belief that it
They
might
use
then
it
hit
accidentally
really
when
hard.
they try to switch weapons.
Yeah.
I think we should bring back the original whips back.
What did that do?
I think it was I think maybe 50-50 chance you either hit nothing or you hit your max.
Ah, that's a good one.
That's not a good one.
That's not that bad.
That's
Do you
OP.
think that was intentional, or do you think it might have been a
okay.
bug?
I have no idea.
I'm not gonna say anything. But
All right.
that would be an improvement over what its current special attack is, in my opinion. Because
think
it's
it
just
would be-
draining energy right now.
I think so.
Okay. Well, last question before we move into the viewer questions from the stream. So this one's from Geert Kelgens, and he asks, can herbs you harvest from farming be picked as clean herbs instead of grimy?
Tricky, since well, all the farming code is trying to do it the same way without extra exceptions tied in left, right, and centre. Does he not want the cleaning XP then?
I was just thinking, surely you'd like that.
Yeah.
That's
That was
not
why
an
it was
awful
changed
lot, but-
before. Like when grimy herbs first came out, so I think farming patches were updated sometime later to give you them in grimy form, because people wanted the XP from cleaning it, and then we forgot to make the leprechauns handle both versions, so people would pick the herbs, clean them, find they couldn't do it on the leprechaun anymore, got annoyed. We've gone with this version so that people can get the XP, given there is a feature in the game in Narda of all places where you can get your herbs cleaned. Kind of pricey, of course. So not promising anything there.
Okay. Fair enough. All right.
I'm guessing he just doesn't have the herb law level to clean them and wants to be able to sell them in clean form.
Maybe. Okay, let's move on to these chat questions. So the first one is requesting an update on the click compass to face north update. Compass?
It's a
Compass.
whilst
Yeah.
it's spelt wrong, it clearly says compass.
Sorry.
The answer there is we knew we needed an engine feature to be able to, point the camera manually, rather than since the client currently does not offer that in the 2007 engine. We got that from Mod Philip a while back. Then we found that if we put a button up by the minimap and you clicked it, the minimap triggered as well as the compass. So you faced the camera pointed north and you walked off. That's really stupid. Now we can't currently fix that with the engine as it is, because again it wasn't designed to expect that kind of thing. So we can get a small job done by Ian to enable us to put a button there without it triggering. But also, for resizable mode, we get a fair few changes to how interfaces work in Old School inside the engine, which would allow us to, have a component you can't click through, something we currently can't do, which is why we don't do drop-down boxes very often. So once we've got that, or the other thing Ian could do, we can have a button over the compass for making you face north. I'm undecided whether I want to have Ian, drop everything he's doing and do the small job now, or wait till we've got all the stuff resizable and do it then. And frankly, what we've mostly ended up doing is asking Ian to help us make a grand exchange, and now we're asking him to help us do bonds. So the answer for the moment has been neither. That's why it hasn't happened. Sorry.
Okay. Next question. Who wants to take this one?
Can you add Beres items to drop? Can you add Beres item drops to show in the chat box? Yeah, I believe we can. If I can remember the way that Beres picks its items and gives it to you.
I feel like if you saw a X has received Carol's coif, it'd be like,
oh, you want to loop? Oh, what you want to broadcast? Or
that's what I took
I
it as.
assume it is, yeah.
Sounds good to me. The question we always ran into here before was, to where would it broadcast?
Yeah.
Given that there aren't usually that many people standing all around the chest waiting.
Right. Yeah, if I was like on a Slayer task and I saw that somebody got a Carol's coif, I'd be like, that's great for that guy. Way to go.
We could try doing it from anyone who's, well, in the barrows, the underground bit, potentially.
Yeah.
maybe.
Cool. If you were running a barrels run with a friend, that'd be nice to see.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think the next question is probably for you, Matt.
Is it? The next question is, I'm going to present it myself.
Present it, okay.
Next question is how long will it be before bonds are released? It's 2 weeks. All goes to plan. 2 weeks.
Don't hurt yourself.
No, I am. Sorry.
All right. Next one is how long until the... sorry, the one before that. Let's go to this. How long will it be before bonds released? You just answered that.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, well done.
Okay.
That's what happens when I take the presenting bit off, Chris. It's all confused.
Or you
Just
pay
throw me
attention.
off.
Yeah, pay attention. Yeah.
Well, I was witnessing something interesting with the arms going on there. So how long until the next Slayer update?
I was looking at the schedule today in the meeting I was just in fact, because I was in a marketing meeting which overran at the tad. In fact, I spent the majority of it watching this.
Which I ditched.
Sit on your phone, you're like, yeah.
Well, I was on a laptop there. But anyway, that's by the by. If you're watching, Neil, stop, mate. Yeah, as I was looking at that, and I was thinking, right end of
In
April,
Sandstorm.
I think, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
End of
Then.
Aprilish, I think, is probably a feasible way
Just
of
off
looking
the
at
chat.
it. But we should all plan that out going forward. But
So how does that go relative to resizable, do you think?
yeah, so that's the next thing to worry about is when that's going to fit in. That's also stuff to talk about and figure out that. But we've got Ian for resizable then, because that's when bonds will be done. So we've got Ian to utilise in that aspect as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Because then
There they are.
by
And they're
April,
gone.
there you go. By April, we'll be hopefully done with the data. I said data stuff being pushed towards
And
the
we lost them
analytics
again.
team as well. So, yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see how we go.
All right.
Potentially end of April.
Next question. Let's go to...
Ronan.
Let's go to the next one. And Ronan, sure. Could the Trident of the Seas be used as a high-level fishing harpoon?
Do you know what? I like that idea.
What are your thoughts on that, Ronan?
Yes,
I
definitely
don't
do it.
have no idea why someone would want that.
That's a great
And you
idea.
catch 3 fish at once.
You fish a shark with that. You just dip it in the water, it pulls back out like 3 sharks.
If we have you do it with a toxic trident, you can get poisonous fish.
Everything nearby
And
just
if
floats
you
to
eat
the
them,
top.
you just die.
Or you could have it so it gives you a better chance of catching a shark head, or is it shark head?
Stuff shark.
Stuffed shark, that's the one.
To be fair, actually, for April Fools, we could do this thing where Derek's axe functions as a hatchet, Torag Hammer's functions as a smithing
It's not
weapon.
going to work.
That would
now,
be a
is it?
great surprise for them.
Aram's staff continues to do jack nothing. Thought about it there.
Well done.
And yeah, Frank, that's about it. If we could actually include, make them be tools for the day. Just why not?
I'd like to see Derek's axe be permanent.
Yeah,
It looks amazing.
It's like,
Torag hammers for smithing.
yeah.
You ever seen, I don't know if it was a glitch or whatever it was, but there was this thing a long time ago where if you teleported, you were stuck as that tiny little figure in the teleport animation with your arms sticking out. Oh, can we just make everybody that tiny little guy for a day?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, we just replace all the walk and dready animations with that tiny little figure. It would look god awful, and it would be very interesting in the wilderness.
That would be hilarious.
I can't see what this guy's using. All right, next question. Are you considering implementing selling members' items on free-to-play worlds to buy a bond? You
Yes,
mentioned
we
that
are.
last Q&A.
Yeah, we are. The concern really wasn't about the actual ability to do it, it was the impact on the economy. So I had the analytics team run a whole load of numbers to get me some more data to look at, to make the right decision based upon this data. And effectively, if everybody who was a member sold every single item they had into the Grand Exchange, it would inject about 133 billion GPs worth of items into the economy, which would quite easily absorbed. The concern that we had was if it was to be done in RS3, of course, there's a huge lot more accounts out there which are like that, so the impact on their economy will be massive, which is why it hasn't happened there, but we can quite easily cope with that amount of money coming into the economy without it making any dent. So I assume we can get past the technical aspects, which I'm sure we can, then we'll happily do that, I think.
All right, I think we have time for just one last question here. So a request asking, when are the Wildy boss pets coming out?
I think Gareth would probably resize those for us and adjust the polys on them a little bit, because obviously when you rescale a model, I'm going to use terminology that Gareth then explained to us earlier on Monday with Ian. That went on for a very long time about 3ds Max. Yes. I could be wrong here, but I'm going to try and sound like Gareth.
Vertexes is the word.
Vertices, that's the one. If you rescale a model down, the vertices snap all over the place, and then you end up with some really weird-looking triangle man, and it doesn't look very good. So Gareth is likely to fix that for us, but that will first mean him completing the models for achievement diaries. That's probably not going to be for next week. Most likely the week after, I guess, the week after, or that week, or any consecutive week beyond that. So probably not very long. Just we need to make sure the models don't look stupid when we give them to you, because obviously Vitaran is a walking skeleton. He's quite clunky. His ready anims are also quite bulky and quite shaky. If we made him quite small, you probably wouldn't notice much of him. So
You don't want him to just kind of slide across the map.
yeah, he wouldn't look very good.
Kind of cool.
He looks a bit funny as is, actually.
Exactly. So if we made him smaller and everything, all these polys just snapped all over the place, and it was this weird triangle man, it wouldn't really much look like the boss. So
Where did you get the Vet Iron models from?
I think it's something to do with the Champions challenge. He was one of the models probably enlisted to be the main champion that was never used, I think. And there was a whole load of models down there that I'd never seen before.
We've had some very useful stuff there. Like I made the High Priest for the first year's Goblin raids out of the Goblin champion there, because he got a robe and hood and everything. It looked awesome for it.
Yeah, there's quite a few models knocking around that aren't even in our archive. They're currently live in game that just aren't plugged into anything. So I think I just stole a model that players had never seen before and thought, well, let's bring this to life eventually. But for once, even. But
Gareth maybe to have a look at the model in game and improve it a little bit.
He could probably improve them over time for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure he could.
He's very clunky and very unsightly.
Yeah, but what about the model?
The model.
Sorry, Gareth.
That was quick. Okay, guys. Any final words for the stream here before we say goodbye?
I assume you covered.
It's
a kappa.
Yeah, I assume you covered stuff about price manipulation in the Grand Exchange.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
we
cool.
did.
Yeah,
all right. So that being said, speaking of the Grand Exchange, if you'd like to find a guide showcasing all of its new features and old features, of course, you can find that up on the YouTube channel. Shameless plug, as well as this stream if you missed it.
So easy to win them over.
Unfortunately, it won't include the chat, but you will get to watch the entire stream back up on the YouTube channel later tonight. Aside from that, well, thank you for watching.
I want to see if I can get it to change ready. So the Rude Sandstorm song, obviously, whenever you go blah blah blah, if we can get it, did that get it to change? Get a sign. I want to change it from kappa. I want to see if it changes.
What you just want them to type do? Like
no, I just did it, so I'm not expecting it to change. It's really easy to win them over.
Do it again.
Win them
like
over.
A social experiment.
Oh, so this is a battle now.
Maybe we ought to sing it now.
Okay, guys, so give the stream a follow if you enjoyed it, and we'll thank you for watching. We'll see
there you go. Boom.
Okay, see ya.
Bye-bye.